So if everybody can find a seat while they're eating their food. The first legislative update is from our state senator, Pat Stefano.
Thank you, Commissioner Dunn. Good morning. You see the rain is coming, it's here. Does that mean that it's planting season? That's what I hear. My son-in-law tells me that all the time whenever it's time to plant. It rains like crazy. But I didn't want to go too much into detail what's happening in Harrisburg. As you probably have heard, the Farm Bureau was in town last week. It was great to have lunch with Fayette County. I was with Somerset County as well. Everybody's getting ready. I want to thank you for all that you do. This is Pennsylvania's #1 industry. So you guys are key to Pennsylvania's economy, so I appreciate all your hard work. And what we're doing, especially with my group in the Senate, is continually battling against the RGGI mandate that Governor will put us into. If you're familiar with Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, it'll be raising all of our energy costs, our electric costs, at least 30% if this goes into place. $800 million impact right out of all of our pockets. And all of us use energy. Some of us more than others. So I want to let you know we're fighting hard against that. We had a veto override trying to pull a resolution to pull us out of RGGI. We failed by 1 vote. We needed 33. We ended up with 32 votes to override. So we missed it by 1. But we had a blessing from the Commonwealth Court, and they ruled Friday, I believe it was Thursday evening, put a stay on implementation of RGGI until they ruled on it. It was supposed to start tomorrow. They were going to publish it tomorrow. So we got a break. We still have a lawsuit in trying to stop it. So I wanted to update you all what's happening there. And as we move forward, we're in budget season coming up starting June. And Pennsylvania is doing really well. We had, I think, $280 million come in last month over our projection. So we keep going beyond what we targeted for this year. This is excellent news as we prepare a budget. We still have lots of federal stimulus money. So the urge is to spend all that money, but we can't do that. If we spend like the governor asked us to do, we're going to be $13 billion in debt in just 4 years. So we're going to be watching that very carefully. But what I'm really going to be watching is the ag line items for you guys to make sure we are at where we need to be from last year and get you the pluses that you need as we move forward, because we do need to support our biggest industry that supports Pennsylvania. So that if you ever have any issues, Daryl tells me them all the time. I'm always tuned in. But anytime that you have any issues, make sure you contact me in my office. We want to make sure we know and we're on top of it right away. So have a great breakfast.
Thank you, Pat. Next, Matt, can you break away from your plate long enough? Matt Dowling, State Rep. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, and thank you for the fantastic breakfast. I'm Catholic, but today I'm going to pretend to be Protestant because that bacon looked really, really good. Just a couple years ago, Pennsylvania was able to pass the first ever farm bill at the state level. And there is now talk that within the next year, we will be working on a similar concept, including those line items that Pat mentioned that we're going to continue to safeguard. But it is very important that we do another farm bill that will help our farmers and our communities. I know because Daryl and a number of you were out in Harrisburg meeting with us last week. I also met with the guys that I currently represent from Somerset County, and we talked about some important issues such as milk in schools. And that's something that we're going to continue to push for to make sure that whole milk continues or becomes an option again. I'm a red cap drinker myself, and our school students now, for the past how many years, have been without that whole milk option. So we want to make sure that we get those back into schools. One thing I did want to mention that is coming up, for those of you who are also involved with your municipal governments, We partnered with the commissioners here in Fayette County, Representative Warner and myself, and we have a municipal grant funding seminar that's coming up on April 19th at 6 p.m. At Penn State Fayette in Swimmers Hall. That information is all online. You can contact our offices, and if you're talking with your township supervisors or your municipal leaders, whether it be a borough or a city, make sure you remind them that we have this coming up, because we will be talking with PennDOT, with DCED, and about important state funding options that are available to those people at the local government level. So we are happy to be partnering with the commissioners for that. If you guys ever need anything, you can find me in Harrisburg, you can find me in the district. And it is always a pleasure to meet. In fact, Daryl even finds me in physical therapy every once in a while. He and I, we're both still having our hands treated, so he can talk to me about farmers' issues there as well. So thank you all for coming out. God bless y'all.
Thank you, Matt. We're going to switch up. We're going to go federal here for a minute. And we have with us from the office of Congressman Matt Reschenthaler, Nate Navala. Thank you. Thank you, my favorite commissioner. My favorite Republican commissioner. That's city. Good morning, everyone. Nate Navala here with Congressman Reschenthaler's office. I'm the district chief. And it's good to be with you, my fellow farmers. I know you all heard that before. Were you born in a barn? I was not born in a barn, but I was raised in one. So it's good to be back with my farmers. And the congressman sent his regressives in Washington today. I'm about ready to go and join him today. So thank you, Scott, for moving all this up for me. Just a couple very quick things I want to let you know that he's co-sponsoring that you would be interested in. He is a current co-sponsor of the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act, and I just talked about that, allowing that option for whole milk to go back into our schools, and the Give Milk Act, which is allowing the WIC participants to use whole milk as well. And different, switching up gears a little bit, he is a co-sponsor of the Rural Broadband Act. I know that is still an issue. Whenever the Congress is going to most likely go back into the hands of Republicans this next time, there are some bills that we're looking forward even into the next Congress that the Congressman is going to support at that time as well, when we are able to make more things happen. Finally, tax season, co-sponsor of the Death Tax Repeal Act. We all know that is a big issue for each one of us, myself included. And a different, also one thing that is most currently, as he signed a letter in regards to the fertilizer prices. Reported the fertilizer prices last week were 10% higher than the week before. It is continuing to grow. They're now 40% higher than they were a month ago. So he has signed on a letter to Agriculture Secretary in regards to that. So there are some different things that he is doing. I know we hear from Darryl, we hear from different folks when these things come up. That's why we're co-sponsors of these bills, why he's signing on to these letters. So we do appreciate your input. They are critical. But any type of bill that you all want us to get on or support, we do it. There's never been an issue. Darryl can back us on that. So anytime you need the Congressman's office for anything, please let us know. We'll be glad to come out and tour your farm. We've been to a couple of farms here that I've seen some familiar faces. We'd love to come back and see what you all do in your operation. So thank you for what you do to keep us all fed and going, and thank you for the breakfast this morning. Thanks, Dave. We do have some people to acknowledge who aren't going to speak but are here. From our county government, we actually have our new recorder of deeds and fellow farmer John Marietta is here. And our treasurer is here somewhere. Our treasurer is here, Melissa Zan. Say hi, Melissa. Thank you. We have some organizations here that are represented, and the first one is the Private Industry Council is here. Penn State Extension is here with a nice little dog. trying to make sure I don't forget anybody. Mark Kritz, or Mr. Kritz is here from the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. Yeah, I got it right there. Lance Medich is here. He is from the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau. He's the regional director. Okay. All right, just want to make sure I don't give you a raise there. George Stahl is here from the Greene County Farm Bureau. Say hi, George. So hopefully he's learned something today. And I know I'm going to forget people, but that's the way it is. We have Doug and Pierce here from the Conservation District. And Pierce, if you want to come up, he has a real quick announcement to make on some new stuff happening in conservation.
Thanks, Todd. A couple things. Those of you that have worked with the district before know we have rental items. A couple of years ago, we only had a few items, but we do have something new we're adding this year. We did make a purchase on a corn planter, so we will have a corn planter to rent this spring. When it's coming here in the next few weeks, it should be available for the 1st of May. If you guys have any questions on renting it, to give us a call. It's a no-till corn planter. It's set up. It's going to be a reasonable price to rent it. We have the small no-till drill. We have 2 larger no-till drills and lawn spreader. We're one of the only conservation districts in the area that has that amount of equipment to rent out to the farmers. In fact, Westmoreland County doesn't have any equipment to rent out to them. So we worked really hard. I know Greene County's headed that direction. They've getting some equipment. They've had lawn spreaders and they got a drill now. This is a big deal to have this type of equipment. We're spending the money to get the service back to the farmers, and we want to work with everybody to put good conservation on the ground. So if anybody has any questions on the equipment, feel free to get a hold of me. Thanks.
Thanks, Pierce. And I knew I was going to forget. I was scratching them down as I go. Jim Stark, Fayette County Community Action. Is there any other organizations here that I didn't mention? Oh, okay. Washoe, be able to say bye.
Drew Ross, I'm the State Young Ag Professionals Chair. So it's great to be here. Thanks.
Thank you. So hopefully I have all the introductions out of the way. One person we are missing is our good friend Michelle Wiener, who from Aspire Grants and Development, who has taken place in all 4 of the previous roundtables that we have. She was unable to make it. She did provide, which is over on the table, a grant update. So some of these grants are available to you, and we can email this to you with direct links. So if you get with Tammy, wherever Tammy went, and she's back in the corner about a coffee, and if you get with Tammy, she'll email us to you. They'll have a direct link that you can go directly to some of these grant programs. So she's here in spirit. So right now we're going to go with our first guest speaker. We'll save the other legislators till late unless you got to go. Huh? You're good? Bud's staying all day. Me and Bud are hanging out all day. Ladies and gentlemen, State Rep Weinmore.
Hey guys, thank you. I'll be very quick. So, as far as legislation, we did have a few important bills come out of the House Agriculture Committee. We have our friends up there from Fayette County Farm Bureau, had a good lunch with them. The first bill was the Keystone Opportunity Dairy Zone. It's a pretty important piece of legislation. It's, if anyone's familiar with the Keystone Opportunity Act, it's set up in a similar way, but it's terminal processing. We also have an update to the milk marketing law, and we talked, I think Representative Dowling mentioned the the whole milk in schools. So all three of those bills came out of committee. So very happy to have all of it out. Agriculture, very important to our community. I want to thank Commissioner Dunn for doing this, everybody here for coming out today. Always happy to have your support. You guys know where I'm at, unless you have my number, don't ever hesitate to reach out wherever we go. Yeah. So, very glad you brought that up. We're actually scheduled to be voted next week in winter session. So, yeah, very happy about that. So, good job on your behalf for pushing for these bills. The guys in the Farm Bureau are doing an excellent job representing the economy. So, again, thank you guys very much, Scott. Appreciate it.
Sir, thank you, Frank. We have Nate Rigotti is here from Rep. Warner, or Representative Snyder's office. Oh, one of these farmers might hire you know? He said he didn't need to say anything. We have one left. Bud, want to go? We're just bring it on. Let's go.
It'll be real quick. I'm here for another, Rachel, 8 months, and then I gotta kick the green, so that's what I need. Green County. Now, look, you're in very good hands with the representatives you have here. Some of us do legislation, some of us do other things. My focus is promoting our area and our industry. And a lot of this is behind the scenes with Daryl and I. We had a great meeting with about 5 or 6 counties and 9 legislators from those different. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. Farming is not a Republican thing. It's not a Democrat thing. It is not a rural thing. It is not an urban thing. It's an everybody thing. So what we've got to do, to Pat's point, when he needs those extra votes in the Senate, we need to make sure that some of those rural representatives in the Senate and in the House understand the importance of it. I go to the Orr farm almost every week, farming acres, to get 2 gallons of milk. The other day I was looking at that John Deere, the one with the wheels this big. I'm guessing it costs probably about $4 grand to fill that up these days. So eventually that's going to come out. So anyhow, we're going to be working behind the scenes as far as promoting farming and that part, particularly in the Southwest, to get more legislators and senators involved and out on the farm. So for that, listen, it's been a great one, really appreciate it. I already told Matt and Ryan, I'm not saying, I'll say it, Colin, so thanks.
Thanks, Bud. And maybe, we'll boot you back across the river every now and then. You're all right. Hey, on the economic development standpoint, back in the back, we have Mark Rayful, who is the County Economic Development Coordinator. His number, if you want to write it down, at the courthouse, 724-430-1200. Please see him if you have an idea for an agricultural upgrade in Fayette County. Please see him. He's extension 1501. There you go. Next to Mark is Ben Siebert from Fayette, and of course you can go to see him as well. I don't have your number to hand out though. So as we leave here today, not that we're ready to leave, but as make sure that we are networking with each other here before you go. So we have the legislators out of the way. Now we are to our guest speaker. Our first guest speaker is going to talk about farm succession planning. Easy for me to say, and her name is Miss Devin White, and Mr. Harper's going to join. Okay.
Good morning, guys, and thank you, Devin, for having me here today, calling me and asking me to come in. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rob Harper. I'm an attorney here in Uniontown at the law firm of Bradford Law. Recently joined there. It was a private practitioner for a while. I'm also an ABA, and I think kind of one of the reasons Devin may have asked me to come here is I love agriculture. I've been involved in it since I was 12. The gentleman who spoke earlier, forgot Russian, I apologize, I don't know his name, he said, wasn't born in the barn, something to that effect. But I always say, my buddies ask me, they're lawyers, have no connection to agriculture, they'll say, were you born in a barn? I say, no, but I got there as soon as I could. So, when I was 12, came out here, showed my first year, was addicted to it. Addicted is the best word, and been doing it ever since. Sat on the fair board for multiple terms. Right now, I'm a director for the Cattlemen's Association of the county. Just love doing it. I've helped many farmers do some transition work, so we see it. And with currently raised about 20 head of black Angus-based cows in Maritime Republic, and a couple of four goats with my beautiful wife and our two boys. So we have a couple show goats, and we're kind of getting into that. So one of my favorite things to do is to talk to farmers about the farm and their plans for the future. And so let's just start about that. What is succession planning? It is a lot more than just estate planning, ladies and gentlemen. It is getting everyone involved. It's communication. It's what you want to see happen to the farm in the event that you become incapacitated or God forbid pass away. Every Sunday, the preacher tells you, hey, it's going to happen. So it's one-on-one, it's guaranteed. So we have to be ready for it. And why don't we do that? You talk to anybody, talk to Mr. Jackson, Wilson, and they'll tell you their whole line of pedigrees about the cow. This is out of this pool, it's out of this cow, you know so much about it. But when you talk to a farmer about, hey, what's going to happen to the future, most of them stop dead. Most of them do not even understand the tools or recognize the tools that are available to them to keep Governor Wolf's hands off of our farm if something were to happen. And that's what we're here. So I guess why is that problem? Why don't people want to go and deal with such a thing? Well, it's difficult. It's difficult to tell son A, hey, you're going to get the farm, son B, you really didn't have any interest in it, and all my greatest asset that I've done, I'm not going to pass it on. That's very difficult to communicate to the next generation that way. There's family feuding. It's always a problem management-wise. Feuding between a son that stays on the farm and the parents, because you have communication problems there that they do not want to make a change. Good example, my dad, mom and dad, and my brother, we all have a family business as well in town. Dad's hanging on and continuing to do practices that are no longer agreeable with my brother, who is also involved in the family business. And that creates tension and conflict. It's so fun on Christmas Day when you have to discuss business, everybody gets in a big fight. So, and another reason why we don't want to discuss this, maybe farmers don't trust, attorneys, bankers, accountants. They have a big problem with that. So, but today we're just going to do a general overview, and that's our point, is just to maybe get the conversation rolling, as to some general ideas of how to make a successful succession plan for farms.
So, one thing that makes this so hard is that every farm is so different. One size doesn't fit all. So you may know somebody down the road who did one thing with their farm. It's probably not going to work for you. And to that point, you may never have a perfect solution for your situation. In this case, great is the good of evil. You don't want the idea of not having the perfect solution to stop you from making some sort of planning. So there are so many different types of farms out there, whether you're an active farm or you're just a piece of property that you lease, or whether you have heirs that are interested, or you really don't have any kids who are interested, and somebody outside of your family wants to buy. There's so many different scenarios that really make it a customized situation, and one that you have to work with professionals on. So like Bob said, we're going to cover some of those tools today.
Hey guys, the first step Kevin and I have discussed is finding a plan, strategizing the initial plan, talking with your family, with the next generation. What do you want? But at the same time, finding finding a legal avenue, something that will work, that will benefit the farm and protect the farm, and property. And I should say, caution, that this doesn't only include farms, it can be anybody that just has land or, that is cash poor but asset wealthy. And, but we also have to find a way to protect mom and dad in their golden years, help them move on and do what they want to do, but yet ensure that their big asset, what pays their bills, is protected too. So that's kind of the initial step, making a plan and talking to everybody, your team.
And so who's everybody? Who do you talk to? Well, you certainly want to talk to the next generation, whoever that is. You don't want to drop something in their lap that they don't fully want. So making sure that they're on the same page and they're involved in the process is so helpful. The second thing is you want to put together a good team of professionals. So this is definitely not a DIY project. You need people behind you and people who are familiar with agriculture and are willing to work together. Again, this isn't a thing for one professional, it's for multiple. So you want a good accountant, somebody who can help you do this tax efficiently. You want a good attorney, like this one.
When I find a good one, I'll let you know who it is.
You want a financial advisor, so that's my role in this situation. You want to make sure, he mentioned, if somebody is giving up their farm, how are they doing it and are they going to be taken care of in their later years? If lenders are involved, you need a good bank behind you. And if life insurance is going to play a role, you need a good insurance agent. And again, those people all need to work together and be on your side.
So next we'll talk about what are some of the problems and some of the tools that you can have at your disposal to attack those problems. One of the big problems are taxes, inheritance taxes, estate taxes. We're looking at like a threshold of 11 million, I believe, on the federal level. But in Pennsylvania, there's $1 level. If you have $1 that transfers, it is subject to inheritance taxes. There are some exceptions, however, but when it goes from a parent to child, you're looking at 4.5% of the gross estate. From to a sibling, 12% of the value, and to a third party, anybody else, it's 15%. So on top of that, you have probate costs, attorney's fees, litigation over assets that could go on forever. You have nursing home liens that you have to worry about, Medicaid liens, and the time frame of look-back periods. So, on top of that, when say the one single decision maker for the entire operation passes, the next generation is taught entirely flat to it as to what to do. So not only do they have to worry about management of the farm, but now they have to worry about how we're going to pay for all these taxes and for the attorneys and these transfers. And as I said, usually a farm is asset wealthy, but cash poor. So some means, one would be just do not and let it pass through what they call, what is known as intestacy. That means you die without having a will, and you let Governor Wolf or Senator Warren decide which route. There is a statutory scheme as to how your assets pass down the road. Representative Warren, right. So there's a statutory scheme as to how your assets would pass if you pass without will. And then the will, that means you got tested, is the term used, the legal term. And when I talk to people about a will, for a couple dollars, everybody should have a will. I'll use an example. And I'm going to leave the names out to protect the guilty. But the young gentleman that I know comes to the fair every year, has shown livestock here forever, grown out of it, still returned. He doesn't have a whole lot, he does work, no assets, mom and dad really didn't have much to do with it. Let's say, for example, tomorrow, he walks out of the front door and is hit by an oil and gas truck, a coal truck, whatever, big company, big coal truck, knocks him down. And they say, hey, we're very sorry, we'd love to give him his estate $10 million for what we've done. He would have loved to have left that money to the Fayette County Fair. But because he had no will, no nothing, didn't expect to ever have anything in his life, it's only to his mom and his dad, who really had nothing to do with it. You know, really was brought the big, supporter in his life when the fair was. So I think everybody should have a will. Whether or not you have a great big, an LLC plan, or a estate plan, a master plan, of how things can transfer, you still need a will. But that doesn't cover everything. What a will is still gonna leave everything subject to inheritance taxes and probate and all that. It just directs how we want things to go to the next generation. Some tools that you can use while you're alive, they call that inter-virus transfer. While you're alive, you can do what's known as putting someone on the deed. You can add another party. They call it joint tenants with a right of survivorship. It's how you hold property. And when you pass, it becomes the other person's by operation of law. It does not go with the will. It becomes theirs upon passing. Mom and dad can transfer portions of the farm. They can put a mortgage on the farm. They can hold a deed in lieu of foreclosure, meaning, hey, we're going to give you this property, we're going to trust you, but if it doesn't work out, we're going to take it back from you. All we have to do is file this deed, and it becomes ours on certain conditions. There are gifting methods and strategies where you can give your children so much for a year. Devin will be able to tell you more about that. Tax-free, but you can't do it on the day they're calling hospice. You can't do it then. You have to do it. Start doing it now. Start thinking about it now. And on top of that, but there are also business ideas, LLCs, corporations that you can do. But the downside of all this, there is no one simple pattern. There is no one golden ticket. There isn't. And that's why we recommend that you talk to professionals that understand these laws and understand the restrictions and transfers and the things that you will face when you go to do this. For example, when you do transfer property and you put your kid's name on it, it's now subject to debt. It's subject to being a marital asset that they, the daughter-in-law, the son-in-law now may have a right to get at. So, and there's also, creditors. What else do I have here? How about this example? You put your children's name on the deed, and that is a joint tenant, but they pass away. So I forbid your children pass away before you, but now you're paying inheritance taxes on your own property. So you have to really sit down and devise a plan. Hey, how are we going to do this? And there's also problems out there. Last week, a couple of local farms in this county, they were doing a massive transition to the next generation. It took them almost a year to accomplish. We go ready to file the deeds and contact Somerset Trust because they want to remortgage, they want to do some things. And just say, hey, wait a second, we better talk to the clean and green officer of the tax assessment office on the fourth floor courthouse. We go to short up. We filed this deed, it would cost us $21,000. So, it was only a 3.5 acre parcel. But because it violated the 2-acre rule for a year, it subjected the entire parcel to rollback taxes for the last 6 years at 6.5 or 6% interest. So there are so many things that you have to worry about when you're doing these transfers to be careful for, and that's what professionals. I know the Farm Bureau, I believe, they have a lot of estate planning attorneys that are very good at that as well too. So and they put on seminars. So I would recommend you talk to them and find an attorney that's comfortable with you, and talk to somebody that says, "Oh, we're going to do a deed for you, or we'll give you a will and send you out the door." Talk to people, talk to your buddies that may be using, that may have done this. So, and also besides the actual act, we also have to worry about Medicare needs, Medicaid needs, and the nursing home needs, the look back. When you transfer property for what they call nominal consideration for $1, anything below fair market value, there is a 5-year look back on Medicaid. And there is a 1-year look back for the Pennsylvania Department of Revenue for the inheritance tax. Well, every time, somebody smart comes up with a way to get around the tax, the government finds a way to battle back. So you just have to be careful. And another tool would be away when you become ill. When you become better, it lapses or it ceases to be in effect. And there's a living with it. So those are even issues where, the main farmer becomes incapacitated for a long period of time and before passing. So how do we deal with that? How do we get the bank account? Well, now you're talking about getting to an attorney for guardianship. And it's a long process. You have to prove to Judge Luskin that, hey, my dad's, he's not coming back, or he's in a terrible shape. So it's not easy. It's not easy. So, and that's what people were, in my position, we like to help. We're here to help. But let me say this. Whatever they want to do, whether you create an LLC, have a $10,000 estate planning matter, whatever you do, nothing we do that is going to change the fact that we still need to get our next generation involved in decision making on our farm or on our business as soon as possible. To let them have a chance at a crack at it, let them fail, let them have something to be responsible in the farm. You can't give them the best succession plan you could ever think of, and you say, on that, you pass, and now you have reins, and now you have to make wise decisions on this $1 million, $2 million operation. It's not going to happen. You have to let them involve early, give them all a role. So that's thanks.
Absolutely. So when it comes to, I'm just going to finish up just with some ideas when it comes to dividing up assets. I think this is one of the things that holds us back the most when we're talking to farmers is, you may have multiple heirs, and they may not have all been involved equally, and they may not be getting the same thing at the end. And fair isn't always equal in these types of situations. So what does that look like? And we can run through a lot of different scenarios with you. Again, they're all personalized, but this is where you can come into, where you start to think about, are there other assets on the side? Are there any other financial accounts? Or can you create a stream of income that can pay the other person? Is this a place where life insurance can come in, Keyman life insurance? Or is this a place, if you're healthy enough, you can get life insurance on yourself to pay off the individual that's not getting the farm? So there's a lot of different ways of moving assets around, even if they don't quite exist right now, to try to make that a little bit more fair in whoever's eyes it is that needs to be feel like it's fair. But you also have to be fair to your farm. And so farms generally work best when they're all in one piece. So, if you look at your farm and you think, I have 3 kids, I'll just parcel it off. That doesn't usually work, or may not work. Or, you have a business and you think, well, I'll just leave the business to my 3 kids. And those 3 kids working together is the demise of the business. That's not fair to the farm. So, fair isn't always equal, but that's why we're here to help you work through that and help you kind of play out those scenarios.
Thank you guys for having us this morning, and thank you for great breakfast. And we'll answer any questions you may have. We'll be around for a while, and thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Counselor. You don't look like you were born on a farm. You're the only guy here with a suit on. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
And before these guys leave, I want to give them a shout out to let you know that we're blessed in Fayette County, that every one of our legislators is pro-agriculture. They work with us, they'll tell you we work with them. We're truly blessed. And from the county commissioners up to the state, even to the federal level. So just be glad that we have a great relationship with them, and thank you both. Sure, I'll see you.
Sure. Mark Ritz. Well, they can't hear you online.
Online? Oh, okay, I'm online. Well, just listening to that presentation by Devin and Rob overwhelmed me. When you start talking about lawyers and insurance and all these different groups we have to talk about succession planning, but it's actually one of the reasons why we have some funding through the Farm Bill, Pennsylvania Farm Bill, that helps with that succession planning. So I want to make sure that you're aware of that. But also, it's funny because as I was listening to it, I thought to myself, well, now I understand a little bit more why you don't even want to start this journey, because as soon as you look at it, it becomes so big. So that's one reason why we, working with the legislature, put something in there to help start this conversation. But it's obviously a conversation we have to start. You can't look at the end and say, look how much I have to do. You have to start somewhere and start that, because succession planning is a major issue in Pennsylvania. We see it all across the state. And the more planning you put into it, the easier the transition will be later on. And it's not set in stone. It's not something that you do once, and that's the only time you ever get a chance at it. So that was just, I wanted to put the plug into the farm bill, but just to let you know that we're concerned with, as well as you are, as to moving this discussion forward and helping you get your farms in order so that whatever happens, it's ready for the future.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Devin. So, if those are the types of things we want to bring to you, and hopefully that was informative, it was for me, and just from the writing and will standpoint, I don't have a will myself, so I'll be scheduling I gotta find a good attorney, I'm not sure who that is. So, that was kind of a reminder for me. But, those are the things, again, reach out to Daryl. Daryl has our ear as well. If there's something that you want to hear about, if you want us to present, we will certainly make that happen. In the last farm table, there was a lot of discussion about meat cutters and the training. That they recruited and trained and things like that. So, as a result of that meeting, and this is why we are here, we're here to listen to you guys. As a result of that training, we have a private industry council here who may, we're in the process, we're talking about having a different training program for meat cutters. But we also, and thank you, Joey, for the reference here. We also invited Ben, and he's here with Chris from Unified Fields. They have a mobile slaughtering and processing facility. They do butcher training and workforce recruiting. And so they're here to make a presentation. Unified Fields, and this is Ben. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Wait till you back up. Maybe. There we go. All right, how's everybody doing today? Pretty good. Well, thanks everybody for having me out. Thank you for breakfast. It was delicious, and giving me the energy to stand up and do some talking today. So, my name is Ben Buchanan. I founded Unified Fields in 2020. Yeah, sorry. I founded Unified Fields in 2020 as a mobile processing, the slaughter and cut and wrap, vacuum seal and everything like that. So anyway, that's me, and then my partner Chris Ward, he's also here, and he has been apprenticing under me for probably like 12 years, something like that now. Just kind of all the different places I've worked at through the years. He worked at some places with me and a couple other places outside that worked with me. So he's my partner and main apprentice now, and we operate a custom exempt mobile slaughter rig that we hope by the end of this year will be fully USDA inspected. So, you're not limited to selling just like quarters and halves and everything. I'm sure all the livestock farmers are pretty familiar with the regulation and everything. So what we do, mobile slaughter and processing, was like the kind of main reason I started out this business. I've been a butcher for 20 years now, pretty much my entire adult life. And I was kind of like weekend warrior style, building this mobile slaughter rig. And then when the pandemic hit and the meat processing industry got turned on its head, it like lit the fire under my ass to really, make this happen. And so I stopped
do the weekend warrior thing and just put all my effort into it. Got some funding to finish the construction on the thing and get up and running. And so I started out just, the first year was construction and network building, and then, getting all my farmer friends, like hyped up about the process and everything. But as I started talking to more farmers, I was realizing, like, there's such a huge desperation for processing out there right now. And a lot of farmers that want to get their own processing started up, or butchers that are interested in starting up their own processing facility or retail shop or something. There's just been a big wave of those folks that, are doing it out of desperation, doing it out of like interest in the trade now, because it's actually like the meat business is in the spotlight, like in national news, the president's talking about it and everything like that. It's like, it's for centuries it's been kind of in the shadows of like how your meat gets produced and everything, but now it's really like come under scrutiny and people are wanting to change the paradigm a little bit. Farmers trying to take processing into their own hands, which is absolutely awesome and the best way for farmers to make money. Just basically, if you can just take out the middleman and direct market, direct the consumer, you capture a lot more of the profit than trying to, sell it, wholesale or going through USDA processes and selling retail. It's kind of tough because there's just a lot of logistics involved to it. But if you have processing on your own facility, the animal never experiences that transport stress, which leads to better quality meat, and and it's a lot more humane for the animal. So that's a value-added thing, and you have absolute oversight over your thing. I'm sure every farmer I've talked to almost that sends their stuff away to a slaughterhouse, they always have that concern in the back of their head. Well, is it really my meat that's coming back, or is it getting mixed with somebody else's meat? When you're slaughtering on farm with either a little setup, or if you have your own microprocessing facility, you never have to question that. You always know it's your meat, and it's another value-added thing. If you can tell your customer this animal was born here, raised here, fed here, and slaughtered here, processed here, you bought it off the farm, never traveled a mile, which is like a huge input cost right now as far as transporting the animal to get slaughtered. The meat transport, the average stuff that's in the grocery store travels like over 500 miles before it gets to the shelf. And the diesel fuel is outrageously expensive. And talking farms, what the inputs cost for cost of gain when you're trying to pull weight on the animal right now. So kind of our business pivoted a little bit from the local slaughter unit to a lot of direct training, community outreach for these farmers that are trying to start their own processing, and all over the country too. A couple farmers in Tennessee, New York, Colorado, Kansas, Indiana, Ohio, folks that are just trying to get their own processing started up because they have no other options. And we really want to make sure everybody gets started off on the right foot, trained properly, because the last thing we need is a bunch of folks getting started that don't really know what they're doing or don't have the proper training in food safety and handling and stuff like that, and putting a bunch of bad product out there is going to make a bad name for all small scale meat processors, which the big packers are definitely waiting for that to happen so they can say, oh, you should have stuck with us. So anything we can do to prevent that, and our belief is doing it through direct community involvement, talking with farmer folks, getting aware of your options as far as your own processing and different routes that you can take as far as getting your stuff to market. We've been doing a lot of classes and training and workshops through Community Kitchen Pittsburgh, Chatham University's craft program, and we're going having a couple other like private side workshops and courses that some will implement the mobile slaughter unit, where you can come out and see non-farm slaughter and carcass breakdown, kind of in the retail. With the mobile units kind of just become a tool to show folks that it is doable. It's not crazy rocket science or really difficult or absurdly expensive to get up and running. And Here's my rig here. It's pretty unique. It's got the, the truck has a crane on it that, goes about 20 feet in the air. And then the enclosed trailer is a refrigerated unit. It's fully insulated, commercial refrigerator, freezer unit on it. And then, for when the weather's bad, summertime when there's flies, we got the inflatable dome that goes over everything. So the whole slaughter operation and everything can be under shelter out of the weather, which is what we'll need. Part of the requirements to be full USDA compliant and everything. So here's the shot without the dome over it. It was a pretty nice day and cool. Still no flies yet. And so, we skid them out right there on the back. We have a rail that pops out of the back of the trailer. We split them, order them, and then land them on the rail and roll them back into the unit. And they'll chill there on the unit, or we go back to one of our co-packing partners and drop the carcass there if we have to go out and do more. But like I said, we've been kind of just using it as a teaching tool. So usually what we'll do is just take the thing out. Slaughter the animals, put them on the trailer, plug in right at the farm, and just leave the trailer there until, a week or 2 weeks, however long they want it to hang. We'll come back, and we have a whole cut and wrap, everything to cut and wrap, right back all on the unit, all, sanitary, easy to clean surfaces, diamond plate, everything, and it's all full, like, commercial NSF equipment and stuff like that. We shot from the other side, like looking out into the slaughter area back out here. Here's us cutting up some meat on the rig. And here's teaching some classes. This is a community kitchen. We teach an intro to butchery class. And they have a full culinary vocational program there, and just introduce this butchery module into it. And it's been going over so well that they want to revamp their third floor of the building to make a dedicated meat processing area so they can sell retail out of their storefront there, which is great for that community. It's in Hazelwood, and they, basically a food desert, and they have no access to like local wholesome meat. So we kind of trying to bridge that gap too between the rural and the urban, where the urban folks don't really have the access to the wholesome local meats and stuff like that. Like neighborhoods like this, their only option is frozen Jimmy Dean sausage at Dollar General and things like that. So anything we can do to get the meat into the places that don't traditionally have access to them, and the big part of that is training folks on how to break it down, because the box meat industry is just completely steamrolled like the local artisan butcher, and there's not many people that know how to do that anymore. So we're just trying to be like Johnny Appleseed, with butcher knowledge, and get as many folks get back into the trade as they can, because they're aging out fast. I mean, I learned almost everything I know from folks that were in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and that was 20 years ago, and not many people are throwing their shoes. So it's good to hear there's other programs too, like the meat cutter, apprenticeship programs and stuff like that. We're kind of working on building a structured thing with some of our partners to have, our own little meat processing apprenticeship program that hopefully can just get more people on the block, because that's what we need right now. I mean, the capacity shortage is a huge thing, but the consolidation was the Achilles heel of what happened in the pandemic. I mean, it was the small butcher shops that didn't skip a beat when all the grocery store shelves were cleared out of meat. And if you were only dependent on one distributor or something like that to get your box meat, you were up the creek, because, they were completely maxed out and couldn't sell anymore, and no distributors were taking on new clients at the time because they were maxed out. So a lot of places just went without things, and then obviously everybody's seeing the prices of food and what's happening, and it's not going to be any better with the inputs of raising livestock, corn and fertilizer and everything else. So we use night sharpening too, which is a huge part of of being a butcher. If you can't sharpen a knife, then you're not really a butcher, you know. And that's our way of seeing it. So that's what we do is, you know, anything meat, workforce development, training, like, and helping farmers too get started up, like, and, you know, getting your own processing solutions on your farm, or, you know, not even on your farm, but anywhere you might be interested. And everything from, you know, super micro scale. I built this thing super small scale and compact to be able to get into any backwoods farm out there, because, like, you know, anybody who's familiar, anybody ever seen a mobile slaughter unit before, like on the internet or anything, they're all like big behemoth things that are out west that, like, you try to take that into something you can farm around here, you're gonna take out trees, bottom out, and everything else. So I wanted to make mine like small and compact, but also show that you don't need anything gigantic and huge to process meat. Like, you can do 1 cow a week on your own, on farm, with a minimal investment, and instead of, you know, losing money taking it to the auction or making just a tiny bit, you know, after you're paying somebody to process it and everything, like, you capture all that profit, and, you know, all it takes is getting the infrastructure and learning the trade, and we can do, you know, any of that. And so if you got an old barn or old, you know, old structure that, you know, it is sound, it can be retrofitted, you really just need your water, your septic or sewer, and then proper electricity and all your, you know, sanitary walls and everything like that, and you can process on your own, and we'll come straight out and train you on hand. That's probably one of the only people in the country that will go straight to a farm or to a slaughter facility and come in for weeks at a time and train your staff. Because, like, there's just a lot of greenhorns out there right now that are getting started from scratch, from zero, that need, you know, basic training and especially slaughter, which is the most, you know, the most risk for contamination and, you know, danger and you know, for injury and everything. So trying to get everybody started on the right foot, and so we're good. Any questions? We do beef, lambs, and goats. I try and kind of steer away from doing pigs on farm slaughter, just because it's, they're nervous bears, and also too, like, most everybody that's doing pigs, they want those value-added things like hams and bacon, which we don't have the infrastructure on the rig for that to cure and smoke and all that stuff. So, but lamb, goats, and beef. Yeah. We're in the South Hills of Pittsburgh area that we're based out of, but we'll travel, you know. Yeah, I was born and raised in South Hills. But we'll travel, you know, depending on how many you got, but we can travel, you know, up to 100 miles. I think is about the farthest we've gone. But, you know, obviously trying to keep it more local-ish in, like, the, you know, surrounding county regions and stuff like that. So. With what? Not directly. I know, like, Steel Center, Votech Center, they closed down their meat program. Like, one of my proteges was a student at that, and he actually was, like, sending a petition around to try and get it saved, and unfortunately it didn't happen. But we're dealing with Chatham University now, and Community Kitchens trying to develop our program through that, and then, you know, from there, we might reach out to, like, Big Well or, you know, CCAC or, you know, somebody for that, like, Votech end of it. But, yeah. I mean, we'll give you the shiniest piece of paper with soil on it you want, but it doesn't really mean too much anything. It's not like, it's not like the, you know, like electrical union plumbers and stuff like that, where you actually, there's like a full-on, like, accredited for it and things like that. I mean, it's, you know, which is like, we'd love to see that change. We'd love to see, like, a national standard set that's, like, you know, through through, you know, union trade or something like that, that, you know, you go get a basic standard set of credentials that they said you can go anywhere and you were qualified to do this, but unfortunately, like, the amount of meat cutters and butchers union got dissolved, like, I don't know, 40s or 50, something like that. But, so. Yeah, I got cards and postcards, stickers, everything up there, and, yeah. Yeah, so, beef especially, if you're trying to cut it the very next day or something like that, the meat's still just gonna be so pliable and like, and the blood, there's still gonna be a lot of blood still kind of left in it and moisture, which it's just hard to work with, the steaks will be all sloppy and flopping over. Yeah, we either transport it back to our co-packer, or, like I said, we can leave it on the trailer, plugged in at the farm. No, and then the trailer has everything to cut and wrap on it. So we slaughter it, put it on the trailer, we can leave the trailer, just plug in right there, and then just come back with the vehicle and with the truck and cut and wrap everything. And then the trailer turns into a freezer too, so we can freeze it right there. I also have another separate walk-in freezer if you got enough to justify, like bringing that on. Cut it all on the big rig, put it in the walk-in freezer, and leave that walk-in freezer there for you to sell it out. We can do up to 3, you know, regular size beef at a time, but, you know, try and keep it to like 1 or 2 small batch stuff because we got all this other stuff going on too with classes and consulting and traveling and stuff like that, so. We just raised the slaughter fee from $150 to $200 because diesel fuel has gone up so big for beef. And beef is pretty much all we're doing right now. Like we get some business for lambs, but I would say 95% of it is all beef because, you know, that's the most desperate part of the sector right now. Like, you know, you gotta book your animal the day it's born pretty much if you're raising cattle if you want to get it slaughtered. And cattle ranching and farming too is like the last stand of like, you know, of not getting chickenized. Like, you know, the chicken industry and the pork industry, you know, have just gotten the legs cut out from under them and like, it's just not like profitable to raise those animals anymore on like a smaller scale, so. But, you know, independent cattle producers are kind of like the last one standing, and if we can just keep them standing, at least we got one leg, right? So, any other questions or comments? Oh yeah, the cost is $200 for the slaughter, and then we do $1 a pound to cut and wrap, and we grab it back every week.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. So we are going to pivot here real quick. Commissioner Mercedes wants to give an update on broadband in Fayette County.
I know broadband is real important to farmers as it is other citizens in the county, but we're finalizing a project with CARES Act money that was left over from the state. Our redevelopment authority was awarded this money, $1.7 million, and the project will go down, the lay fiber down about 51 all the way to the county line, and then veer over to 201, go towards Fayette City, and then over to Knoll. So we're working on that. I think it's pretty close to ready to go out for bid to try to get this project started and spend the money. Also, we're developing an RFP that's almost ready to go out for advertising. We're finalizing it for a countywide study for deploying broadband. The commissioners thought that would be the best approach, even though we did the project with our CARES Act money, 5.3 million, bringing the fiber down the mountain into north, south Union Town, with the plan of branching out on all the major routes in the county, 50, 140, 21, 119, 857, et cetera. We thought we better come up with an overall plan on when to do what project, when, how to get the funding, knowing who has, broadband in their areas, which ones are underserved or have no service at all. So we wanted to have a real master plan that we could take action on once it's developed. So we're ready to put that out for bid. Hopefully we get a lot of good companies that are interested in working with us to do this study. And as the study's being done, they started that statewide broadband authority in Harrisburg, and they're getting off the ground, and hopefully within the time frame that we complete the study and they get their authority really to the point where they can start expending funds, it'll be good timing, and we can get as many of those grants as we can. And there's going to be a lot of funding for broadband. That's one thing we know, that if we get our really a good plan and our ducks in a row, that we're going to be able to get this funding and get this done. So the county has a lot of areas that are underserved or have no service at all. We've been told over the years that we have 88% of our county is broadband, but I think a lot of them have low speeds and a lot of them don't have anything at all. So it's a major priority for the county to get this done. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Briggs? Right. So that's why that we're doing our own broadband study for Fayette County, because we realize we're going after your money. I hate Greg too, but right, and we realize that if we're just going to piecemeal it along, it's going to take forever, and we're never going to unlock the amounts of money that are being thrown around, not only by the state but by the federal government. So that's the reason. So we have one,
Let me back up. The thing about Vince and the county and how we're doing broadband. One of the things that the farmer was trying to do is to try to link these entities up. Okay, we got the guy arrested dollars, we got the state guys, we got the county guys. We want to reinvent the wheel 3 times. We want to get everybody together at the same time and do, like that little dialogue right there was important. Okay, so that's why meetings are important. To me, this is such a complex issue. To try to put a simple fix on it is almost impossible. We had a meeting on Wednesday, we talked about a meeting we had with Erica and Jennifer Dyker and others about meat processing. There are so many USDA, non-USDA. Paul was able to speak very passionately at our meeting about what he puts up with as a USDA butcher. I'm sure Harry has a lot of things that he could add and why he does or does not even want to be USDA. But the point I was trying to make right here is that things are in the works. We are in the process. You have funding money. It's just a matter now, this is higher than my pay grade, but if we get the right people in the room at the right time to talk, we can figure this out. So I'm optimistic about things like this, and I thank you again.
Well, thank you, Carol. And speaking of nervous critters, there you go. So actually, we're at the point where you are our last speaker, so you could have just stayed right up there. So, ladies and gentlemen, Carol Becker.
I got a lot to cover, I'm going to try to be quick. people don't even know what the Farm Bureau does, I think. But I think most of the people in this room do. Let me start off by saying that I am so blessed to be able to look out at the people in this room, and I got a story that I can tell about every single one of you and how you work for agriculture. I have a unique situation, and I'm truly am blessed. I get taken by that. But anyway, so there are 57 affiliate branches of the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau with about 65,000 members. Once a year, we go en masse to Harrisburg and meet with our legislators to discuss our 2022 legislative agenda. This was quite a year. Started out by meeting at 8:30 in the morning with Pam Snyder. We had a half hour with her. She had to leave to go into committee to talk about dairy. By the time we got from Pam Snyder's office to the Ryan Library, where we had 9 legislators from 5 different counties, and they all listened to 4 different Farm Bureau county affiliates talk about their agenda. Basically led by George Salt from Green County. There was about 4 or 5 of us wanted to do it. George got the short straw, and he was able to go on and on and on about it, and it was really great. The interesting thing there, as a group, to try to extend our legislative influence, so to speak, is that our state lobbyists contacted us and wanted us to adopt a legislator. That legislator was from Allegheny County. They don't have a Farm Bureau affiliated in Allegheny County, so through Lance Mendes, our ROD, we were able to meet with Nick Viscadella. I had a fish dinner with him on Ash Wednesday. He attended that meeting in Harrisburg with the other 9 representatives, which included Cameron Bartolotta, Pascatano, all of our local, we're blessed, they were all there, no one missed. Now, they wanted to come to this county and have farm tours, and we have something we can supply them to do. I guess maybe what I would say is these meetings are important, but these meetings are also springboards to other meetings. There's going to be an event on the 28th of April. Colby, stand up for a minute. Colby Brooks is one of the members of the Agricultural Land Preservation Board in Fayette County. Sanko, as is Frank McNansky, as is Todd Miner, and I've been on this board probably for 15 years, and we've been trying for the last 15 years to try to get signage up for all of the 25 farms in Fayette County that are preserved. Well, through the help of the Fayette Chamber, almost $30,000 was invested, and we have signs for all the preserved farms now. And on the day that Colby's farm is going to be a tour, the director of the Pennsylvania Land Preservation Board will be there for the unveiling of the sign. It's beautiful. Anybody wants to see it, it's 4x4. I'm just really excited about it because this is a great move for Fayette County. Colby, do you want to say anything about, you don't want to say anything. What else I want to add? We talk about farm preservation for a minute because agriculture is like hand in glove, and fewer farmers are producing more food than in the history of mankind, and that's because of the technology and all the advances that have been made. But there gets a point in time where, as the developing of land occurs, less and less land is available to be farmed, and the technology at some point in time is not going to be able to overcome this loss of land. So farm preservation might not be for everybody, but it's important. What else do I want to say? There's so much, I talk about it, every one of you people, farm. You know, the land program you're doing, we are talking to our legislators here and the ones who have left about the farm bill and how we want to get more money to come directly from the state into the locals' soil conservation district, so that how many people are going to be able to take this line? 10, 12, 10. Well, Here's how, another way this works. George from Green County, they have a program where not only do they get line for farmers to help share their costs, but there's other best management practices like fencing and stuff like that. We were tailored what we're doing here in Fayette County to Conservation District and Pierce and Dave Moore on what they do in Green County. So any money that can come from the state to help you do 20 next year instead of 15. Farmers are up against it. I don't know if you know this one. Our food chain is in serious difficulty. But we need to address that and identify that. Mark, thank you for being a friend of Fayette County. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. This man has been here from the state level so many times, and he knows a lot of all of our issues. So I thank you all for coming. This is what the fifth, where's Scott at? This is the fifth. I'm sure there will be a sixth. I'm easily accessible. Anybody that has an idea on what they think we should be talking about these things, please share that with Scott or myself, and we'll make it happen. And for the farmers in the room, you need to talk to friends and neighbors and get them to come to the next one. It's going to be at 6 o'clock at night. There's a lot to learn there. Okay? And the unseen things that take place, where this person goes over here and talks to that person, and that person goes over here and talks to that. That's what this is all about. Making connection. So, thank you.
Thank you, Darryl. Again, April 28th at Commercy Farm, up on Quebec Road in Farmington. You guys up in the mountains, you gotta get a little closer to the town there. All right. And make sure you RSVP. There are flyers over here for that, so pick one up on your way out. Again, get on the email for Aspire Grants and Development, and that information is over on the table as well. And we will send it out to you if you give Tammy an email address and you request it, we'll send that way out to you. We are going to have a grant writing basic workshop to give you the basics of writing grants. It's going to be on April 29th. That time and date and place is to be determined. April 29th is a Friday morning, I believe, and so it'll be on a Friday morning. We'll have Aspire here to actually go through the basics of how to write grants. So keep that in mind. Look out, keep an eye out for that. We thank everybody for coming, and we really appreciate the attendance. We appreciate everybody's input, and I think this was a good thing that happened here today. And we're going to keep it going. The next one, again, is going to be at night. We're going to do it after the fair. We're going to really promote it at the fair. So we look forward to seeing you guys again. And thank you very much. Make sure you're networking on the way out. Thank you, guys.